updates capital improvement budgets and creates subledgers in accounting system, restricted revenue sources or grants.
In reviewing the capital improvement budget, it is important to keep in mind that most projects are funded by restricted revenue sources or grants. Consequently, there will potentially be significant differences from year to year in both the numbers of projects adopted and the total dollars budgeted. The lower funding compared to FY 15 to 16 is due to one-time funds. Capital Improvement Plan, a definition. Threshold/maintenance or recurring operational costs. A CIP outlines large capital projects and equipment purchases, and their associated project timelines and funding options. A capital improvement plan wouldn't include smaller, operational expenses that normally appear in an annual budget, but is aligned with the annual budget. What qualifies as a large versus small expense? This varies greatly by municipality, but the Government Finance Officers Association, GFOA, lists the capitalization threshold at $5,000. Projects with expenses exceeding that amount would be included in the capital improvement plan, whereas maintenance or recurring operational costs falling below that amount would be confined to the annual budget.
Why are capital improvement plan important?
Quality of life, urban growth, fiscal health. Some projects require loans or long-term borrowing solutions, as well as incur additional operational expenses. CIPs ensure that local governments stay fiscally healthy when doing capital improvements because cities are preparing in advance for large expenses, rather than simply reacting to them. Advanced planning helps municipalities get the necessary resources in place without taking on too much debt and keeps budgets balanced. In many ways, a capital improvement plan bridges the gap between the planning and budgeting process.
What belongs in a capital improvement plan?
Estimated overall cost of each project. This cost should be above the capitalization threshold determined by your city, or the $5,000 limit posed by the GFOA. Estimated operational/maintenance cost of each project. This is a projected cost and should factor in expenses for annual upkeep. Estimated timeline for each project. The timeline plots out key milestones and critical components of the plan's multi-year rollout. Revenues from each project, if any. For example, a community center might generate user fees from citizens renting the space. When these revenues exceed expenses, the leftovers can be put into capital improvement. Funding sources. How will the city pay for projects in the CIP? This includes debt management and borrowing channels, such as bank loans, bonds, taxes, appropriations, grants, etc. Prioritization of each project, considering all of the above elements, costs, timeline, revenue, funding, and the community's needs, a city will evaluate and prioritize each project. It is critical when prioritizing CIP projects to maintain alignment with the city's strategic plan.
How to make the most of your capital improvement plan?
How to make the most of your capital improvement plan. Centralize all CIP information. Refresh your CIP on a regular interval. Review your capital improvement plan and strategic plan annually, or every few years, at most, to keep it accurate and up to date. For example, in a 5-year CIP, you may have overspent on some capital improvements during the second year. You'll need to adjust your CIP accordingly for the following year, while also ensuring any changes retain alignment with the strategic plan and annual budget. Project manage your CIP. Stay on track with workflows and budgets by project managing your capital improvements the same as you would your smaller, more operational initiatives. Name owners, set deadlines, track progress, and report on results. Show citizens the results of your CIP.